Welcome to another exciting episode of our Motivation Podcast. I'm Susan, and I'm delighted to welcome back our esteemed guest, Larry Donovan, a renowned motivational coach. Today's topic is motivation and goal setting. So welcome back, Larry.
Thank you, Susan. I'm thrilled to be here again, and I'm looking forward to our discussion on motivation and goal setting, a subject close to my heart.
Larry, goal setting is something we all do, consciously or subconsciously. But keeping up the motivation to pursue and achieve those goals is often a challenge. Why is that so?
That's a very pertinent question, Susan. The crux lies in understanding that motivation and goal setting are intertwined. However, many of us overlook this relationship. We think of motivation as the initial spark that sets us off on our goal pursuit journey, but it's more than that. Motivation is also the fuel that keeps the engine running, especially when the going gets tough. That's where the real struggle lies.
That's quite insightful, Larry. So, what would you recommend as an approach to goal setting that would also ensure sustained motivation?
The first and foremost step is to set clear, well-defined goals. If your goals are vague, the outcomes you achieve are also likely to be vague. Clear goals provide direction and a tangible way to measure progress. They give you a sense of purpose and accomplishment as you inch closer to them, thus boosting your motivation. Indeed, Susan. Another key aspect is to ensure your goals are realistic. While it's important to aim high, setting unattainable goals can lead to disappointment and diminish motivation. It's about finding the right balance. It's about setting goals that challenge you, but are still within your capabilities.
That makes a lot of sense, Larry. It's important not to set ourselves up for failure.
Precisely, Susan. And this leads me to the next vital element in goal setting, breaking down larger goals into smaller, manageable ones. This approach not only makes the task seem less daunting, but also allows you to enjoy small victories along the way, thereby boosting motivation.
So, it's about the journey and not just the destination.
Absolutely, Susan. Celebrating these smaller achievements is an excellent motivational booster. It's a reminder of how far you've come and an affirmation that you're on the right path.
Larry, that's an enlightening perspective on how to approach goal setting. But we all know that even with clear and realistic goals, and even when we break down these goals, we often find ourselves dealing with a loss of motivation. How do we keep our motivational levels high in such situations?
You bring up an excellent point, Susan. Motivation isn't always a steady force. It ebbs and flows, and that's perfectly natural. The key is not to rely solely on motivation to reach your goals.
Interesting. Could you elaborate on that, Larry?
Of course, Susan. You see, motivation is an emotional state, and like all emotional states, it can fluctuate. That's why it's essential to cultivate discipline alongside motivation. Discipline means doing what needs to be done even when you don't feel like doing it. It's about committing to your goal, staying consistent, and taking small steps every day, no matter how you feel.
That's a profound perspective, Larry. So it's not just about feeling motivated, but also developing the discipline to work towards our goals consistently.
Exactly, Susan. It's about forming habits that align with your goals. Once you build these habits, they require less mental effort and can sustain your progress even when your motivation is low.
So while motivation provides the initial spark, discipline ensures that the flame keeps burning even when the winds of doubt and inertia blow strong. But Larry, how does one develop this discipline?
Well, it's a process, Susan. It doesn't happen overnight. It starts with understanding your why, the purpose behind your goal. Knowing why you want to achieve a certain goal can be a strong motivator and can help you develop the discipline required to achieve it.
That's insightful, Larry. So, understanding the why behind our goals can help bolster both our motivation and discipline.
Absolutely, Susan. Your why serves as the core driving force behind your actions. It's the reason that gets you out of bed in the morning and pushes you to move forward, even when the circumstances are challenging.
I can see how having a strong why can help us maintain our motivation. However, even with a clear why, people sometimes still struggle. Are there any other strategies that our listeners can use to enhance their motivation and discipline?
Certainly, Susan. Another effective strategy is to create an environment that supports your goals. This can mean different things for different goals. If you're aiming to get fit, it could mean keeping workout gear in a visible spot or preparing healthy meals in advance. If your goal is to write a book, it might mean setting up a dedicated writing space or setting a daily word count goal.
So, by manipulating our environment, we can make it easier to perform the behaviors that lead us to our goals.
That's right, Susan. Your environment plays a crucial role in shaping your behavior. By creating an environment that supports your goals, you make it easier for yourself to take the necessary actions, thereby reducing the need for an intense level of motivation or willpower.
That's a fascinating approach, Larry. I believe our listeners will find this very useful. It seems like maintaining motivation is more about smart strategies and understanding our psychology rather than sheer willpower.
Absolutely, Susan. Willpower and motivation are important, but understanding our psychology and utilizing strategies that work with our habits and environment can make the journey towards our goals much smoother and sustainable.
Speaking of sustainability, how important is it to maintain a balance while striving towards our goals?
That's a great point, Susan. Balance is critical. While striving to achieve our goals, it's easy to become so focused that we neglect other important aspects of our lives like health, relationships, and self-care. This imbalance can lead to burnout, which can drastically diminish motivation.
So, it's essential to remember that while goals give our life direction, they aren't everything.
Precisely, Susan. Goals are a part of life, not the whole of it. Maintaining a balanced lifestyle can not only prevent burnout, but also contribute to sustained motivation. When we're healthy, have supportive relationships, and take time for self-care, we are better equipped to handle challenges and setbacks on the path to our goals.
That's very well said, Larry. Life is multifaceted, and while our goals are important, we must not lose sight of the bigger picture.
Yes, Susan. And this bigger picture includes self-compassion. It's important to remember that setbacks and failures are part of the process. Instead of being harsh on ourselves when things don't go as planned, we should practice self-compassion. This positive self-talk can bolster our motivation and keep us resilient in the face of adversity.
Self-compassion, balance, discipline, clear and realistic goals, and a supportive environment. These sound like valuable tools for maintaining motivation and making effective goal setting a part of our lives.
Yes, Susan, these are all crucial elements in the journey towards our goals. I'd like to add one more tool to this toolkit, and that's gratitude. Taking time to appreciate what we have and acknowledging our achievements, no matter how small, can greatly enhance our motivation. It gives us a sense of progress and fulfillment, making the journey towards our goals more enjoyable and meaningful.
That's a beautiful thought, Larry. Appreciation and gratitude can indeed make our journey more fulfilling.
Absolutely, Susan. At the end of the day, it's not just about achieving our goals. It's also about the growth and experiences we gain during the process. Gratitude allows us to recognize and cherish these moments.
Thank you, Larry, for sharing your wisdom and providing our listeners with valuable insights into motivation and goal setting. I'm sure they found it as enlightening as I have.
The pleasure's all mine, Susan. I hope our listeners can apply these principles to their goal, setting, and motivational journeys. Remember, it's not always easy, but with the right approach, it's certainly achievable. Keep believing in yourselves.
What a great note to end on, Larry. Thank you again for joining us today. To our listeners, we hope you've enjoyed this discussion and found it helpful. Keep setting goals, stay motivated, and remember the journey is as important as the destination. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you in the next episode of the Motivation Podcast. Stay motivated.